The third quarter of the 20th century produced a very great Punjabi poet who stood tall among his contemporaries and carved for himself a permanent and a very prominent niche in the history of Punjabi literature. His name was Shiv Kumar, and since he lived in the town called Batala, he was popularly known as Shiv Kumar Batalavi. His poetry had affinity to the poetry of John Keats, and Shiv Kumar is often called the John Keats of Punjabi poetry. He uses very simple images and symbols to touch basic human emotions. Like Keats, Shiv Batalavi died young. Like Keats, he wrote poetry seething with emotions. And like Keats, his poetry joined what to us are the two distinct domains of the living and the non living into one single throbbing system where the songs behave like humans. Graveyard waits for the arrival of the poet with the eagerness of a mother waiting for her son, and separation from the loved one attains the status of God. In Shiv's imagination, as in Keats's, objects merged and he could feel the emotions of the non living with a high degree of negative capability. To those who have grown up speaking Punjabi language and have imbibed Punjabi culture, Shiv Batalvi's poems need no interpretation. His poems speak to the human heart with simple images and simple symbols and produce their own meaning. But unfortunately, this great poet is still relatively unknown to the world outside of Punjabi literature. Therefore, in this series of videos, I am initiating an attempt to introduce Shiv Batalvi to the world that does not understand Punjabi. I know the enormity of the task and my being highly unequal to it, but it is my keenness to do something, to at least initiate something, which has driven me to undertake this task. I wish to start with this poem, Ik Kudi Jida Naam Mohabbat, a girl whose name is love. The poem starts with the line, Ik Kudi Jida Naam Mohabbat, Gum hai, Gum hai, Gum hai. A girl named love is missing, is missing, is missing. In order to understand the meaning of these lines, we must know about a practice which had been followed in our society up until maybe 1980s, and this practice must have continued for centuries. Whenever an important matter was to be brought to the notice of the public, something called Dandora or Miyadi was resorted to. A man would come bringing a drum or maybe a plate and a stick. He would hit that drum and then make an announcement. So, this poem is basically an announcement. The poet comes, stands in a public place, then, in order to attract the attention of the people gathered there, maybe he hits a plate or a drum with a stick, and then he makes the announcement ਇੱਕ ਕੁੜੀ ਜਿਹਦਾ ਨਾਮ ਮੁਹੱਬਤ ਗੁੰਮ ਹੈ ਗੁੰਮ ਹੈ ਗੁੰਮ ਹੈ ਇੱਕ ਕੁੜੀ ਜਿਹਦਾ ਨਾਮ ਮੁਹੱਬਤ ਗੁੰਮ ਹੈ ਗੁੰਮ ਹੈ ਗੁੰਮ ਹੈ Looking at this announcement style, how would a person who did not know that this was a poem written by a prominent person react? Perhaps he would be curious to know who's this girl called Love? How long has she been missing? Did she leave on her own or was she driven out? Who has sent this man to make the announcement? Could it be the old village headman who suddenly finds that the love that prevailed among the villagers has disappeared? Is this old man concerned about the cold commercialism and the ruthless selfishness that has taken control of the society? Although I don't take liquor, but I have heard my friends who take liquor say that you should keep drops of good liquor on your tongue and gradually enjoy it instead of hurrying into the experience. I think good poetry should also be enjoyed like this. So before we go further, let us try to understand the full implications of these two lines. Here is a man who comes, stands on a crossroads, hits something like this, and makes an announcement that a girl called Love is missing. What exactly are the implications of this? If we exercise our imagination on just these two lines, we would understand the meaning of love being visualized not as something omnipresent like the air or like God, but as a girl who suddenly appears, adds a touch of love to relationship, and then goes elsewhere. When the husband returns from his office or his field and the husband and wife are together, the girl called Love emerges and gives the relationship a warmth. Then she goes to the neighboring house where a brother and sister are teasing each other. From there, she goes to a shop where the customer and seller are exchanging friendly remarks. This visualization of love as a beautiful girl is highly realistic. In human relationship, love comes and goes. It is not that love is present to the same degree and same intensity always. There are moments of intense love, then we get busy with routine life. So it is as if there is a beautiful girl who comes to us, gives a touch of beauty to our relationship, then she goes somewhere else, gives a touch of beauty to that relationship. So it's a beautiful conceptualization of love as a young, beautiful girl who goes around spreading the positive emotion of love. And now suddenly that girl has disappeared. And it is that extreme degree of pangs of her disappearing which initiates this poem. And the poet goes, is it by his own, on his own initiative, or has been sent by somebody? He goes, makes an announcement. There is a sense of desperation. There is a touch of desperation in this announcement. There is a sense of extreme deprivation. So these two lines alone introduce us to the poem, and we must enter through these two lines. In my opinion, those people who sing this poem as a song perpetrate a cruelty to this poem. This poem is not meant to be sung. It is not a song, unlike Batalavi's other poems. It is an announcement. It's a miyadi. And if at all you want to sing it, you should sing it in the form of a Miyadi. We'll continue from here. I'll take up subsequent lines bunch by bunch, and we'll find how these two lines act as an extremely important gateway to the poem, and how the meaning of the entire poem opens up petal by petal if we take this route instead of approaching it as a song as are Batalavi's other songs. Let us not do like that. Let us take the poem on its own, as an individual, as a separate being. And that's how I'd like to take each of Batalavi's poems. You can share with me your views about my interpretations of Batalavi's poems. It will be my pleasure to learn from you. Thank you very much.